Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Nick Hilaire Show. I don't know if you heard this, but there's a Silicon Valley sort of legend who is out maybe a year ago talking at a school or something, Peter Thiel, who's a sort of controversial figure in his own way. He was a teacher of mine, so I don't really have the same relationship as sort of the general public with him because I've known him somewhat personally
Are
over the
you, are
years.
you being serious? A real teacher in school?
Yeah, he taught a class at my law school actually, which was really fascinating. He was a great lecturer. He has like interesting ideas, but he gave this talk where basically I think it may have been Stanford Business School. He was somewhere where he articulated the truth of the Silicon Valley ethos, which is that they are trying to build monopolies. They're doing it on purpose because that's how you create a unicorn. And I think the sort of silent implication, which he didn't delve into, at least in the public remarks that I saw, is that they know Silicon Valley executives and technologists, they know that the government is going to be really slow to catch up, if they ever catch up at all on the antitrust side of it, because these are complicated industries. Like Amazon, for example, has been running ahead of the FTC for years. And I just think it's fascinating that that's sort of they're so emboldened that they're willing to just put it out there into the world, like, hey, we're trying to create monopolies. And there's laws on our books which are anti-monopoly for years, or almost 100 years now, maybe over 100 years now. What do you think of that?
Well, he nailed it. I mean, that's what it is. And I mean, you have the kill zone around these big companies for like Apple or Google or Amazon, and big companies will then buy all the startups that can potentially threaten them. And so, of course, you have the VCs like that, and Silicon Valley likes that because these companies pay a lot of money to buy these startups, and it doesn't really matter to Apple how much it overpays for a little startup. And then they shut it down, and they keep a few engineers, and the competitor's gone. And so that has come under investigation now by the FTC. Google is it's being sued all over the place now, and antitrust investigation started, and so the interesting thing is what I mentioned a little while ago is that big publishers, not just me, but big publishers like the Wall Street Journal and the organization, the Murdoch organization that has all these other publications. They're now standing behind that, and they're all paying the price for these huge monopolies. And it's not the consumers that get hurt here, and that was the problem for many years. It was originally the laws were designed to protect consumers from being price gouged when there's a monopoly, but it's the consumers aren't paying for any of this stuff. It's free. Who is paying for it are the publishers and sometimes the advertisers and are other people in the industry. So that's a different aspect of it. And so it'll be interesting legally to see how that turns out. Obviously, it's incredibly complex, and it will take many, many years. And in the end, there will be some kind of settlement. It'll be several $billion, and it'll be considered huge. And Google will earn that kind of money in like 6 weeks and be done with it, and keep doing the same thing. And so that's once you have this, and Silicon Valley is truly set up that way. Once you have this concentrated power, it's very difficult for a government to really knock it out. And I mean, things can change, and competition can come along. And I mean, TikTok might knock down YouTube, for example, and that might happen. And then people forget. And what was YouTube? Do you remember what that was? And 10 years later, and it's gone. And that can happen. I mean, these technological changes can happen and can take all or some of those things down. But then there'll be something else. And so I think generally the government has, in recent decades, has waited way too long. I mean, there's some. Now they're going after them, but they're loathed by Silicon Valley for doing that, but it's late, and it's now they're facing these gigantic powerhouses that are very difficult to deal with. They're big political contributors, and they've created lots of billionaires, and they're individually contributors to their political movements, and so at this point, it's really tough to see how this is going to really change. But yeah, I mean, Thiel nailed it. He just completely nailed it. Of course, he knows how that works, and they're spending billions of dollars on a startup to get there, to get to this point where it has pricing power, where it has a near monopoly or a monopoly, and where it kind of can do what he wants.
Yep. And then if you fast forward the clock like 30 years, or more, like a Microsoft or an Apple or Google, like these companies, they're like nation state size in their reach. Their global reach is incredible. They have employees and facilities all over the world, and their valuations are outrageous. Like they're contributing not just to American political movements, but international political movements. Like they are wily adversaries for the government employees of the United States, FTC for sure.
Well, obviously, when you work for Apple, you work for Microsoft. I mean, these are great jobs, and so there's a lot of beneficiaries in the system as well, and they have stock options, and they get wealthy doing this, and so I mean, there's a big part of the population of Silicon Valley and in other parts in Seattle and other parts where these companies are active, there's a part of the population that have benefited from this. They had great careers with these companies, and they've done lots of great things, and they've enjoyed what they're doing, and so they're great companies to work for. I would think. I never worked for them, but that's kind of what I hear, and so you have that side where you can look at the benefits that these companies have created for some people. Not for everybody, but for a relatively small number of people, they've created a lot of benefits, and so you'll have that, and they've created a lot of investment, and thank God Apple is an American company, not a Chinese company, and same with Microsoft. So this is in a way, this is not all bad, but it's just gone way overboard. I mean, this is just ridiculous how concentrated wealth and power has become in these companies and individuals too.
Yeah, that's interesting.